another remnant fly here today. This one turned out to be kind of a Catskill style dry fly. Ran across the Golden Pheasant Tippet and was thinking about kind of a dry fly, and then I had some stripped Peacock Herls, and I thought that would make a good body. The wings are just from some jungle cock body feathers, and I thought that would be interesting to tie in. Turned out the wings could have been a little bit further forward and the abdomen a little bit longer, thorax a little narrower on these little Catskill flies, but I think it turned out pretty nice. That's the latest remnant fly. I'll get started tying. So I'm going to start this remnant fly with my hook in the vise. This is I'm going to say it's a 98 480. I think it's a Mustad standard dry fly hook, but this has got to be maybe a Tampa 101 because it's a longer shank than your standard dry fly hooks. I'd say it's about a size 12. Go ahead and debarb the hook. So you want to use a dry fly hook that in this case with the longer shank, but this is going to be a Catskill style dry fly, just experimenting with some stuff. So by all means, use whatever dry fly hooks you have and you're comfortable with. I'm going to start with a black thread. I'm using a Danville 70 Denier in black. You could use a white thread if you don't want the body on this to get darkened up at all, but I think black throughout the whole fly will be just fine. So this fly started with finding some pheasant tail tippet and thinking about tailing for a dry fly, and then I ran across a stripped peacock herl from a previous fly tying class, and decided to go ahead and do a Catskill style fly with a stripped quill body. So the tailing on this is going to be just some Golden Pheasant Tippet. I'm going to get maybe about, for this size hook, I only need about a half a dozen or so. Strip those away. I'm going to tie those in, kind of clump them together. They don't have to be perfect. I want to tie these in so they're about the length of the whole hook from in front of the hook eye to the bend, simply because the tail on these Catskills is very important in that the tail is a major supporter of the fly in the surface film. A lot of people will put their tails in and they're a little bit too short. Now I'm going to run my thread back forward and tie in my wing. You could have tied in the wing first if you wanted to. So with my thread about 2 eye lengths behind, maybe a third of the way down the hook shank, I'll put my wing in. The wing on this, I looked for some different materials and it wasn't certain exactly what I wanted until I ran across some jungle cock body feathers. These are just standard jungle cock body feathers, not real large. And so I decided to go ahead and try that for a split wing. I'm going to match these up concave to concave here. And I'm going to strip off a lot of the barbs here because I'm looking for a wing that's going to be sticking up maybe 1.5 times the gap, something like that. So I will continue to strip off barbs. Just take your time with it. You don't want to strip too many until I get the wing, essentially the length that I'm looking for. Something about like that. Maybe just a little bit more. Take off of that. I'm going to tie these in so that they're facing out forward. Right at the base of that is where I'm going to tie those in. I want to try and keep those perpendicular. A couple of wraps, you can then massage those a little bit as you wrap the rachis of those feathers in real nice and steady. Trim away the excess. A little bit of wax on my thread. I'm going to bring my thread forward to in front of the wings and build a little bit of a thread dam, propping those wings up like that. With my thread at the base of the wings here, I will then split those wings up. There we go. And I will get two fairly soft cross wraps right between both of those wings. Just coming down across to lay some thread down in between them. And that's why you don't want to pull too hard, because I pulled too hard there and it's going to pull a wing off in a direction you don't want it to go. Got one barb here that's apparently wanting to get out and be free. I'm going to prop those wings up a little bit more, run my thread down to the end of the body, and I'll tie in my stripped peacock herl. The other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put a little bit of head cement right at the very base of the wing like that. And that's just to soak down in there and kind of help support those. I'm curious as to see, those wings might be a little bit tall, but I'm curious to see how that would ride on the water and how those would look. With my thread down at the end of the body, I've got a stripped peacock quill here. I'm going to tie that in, securing that in up the abdomen. And I'm going to go back just a little bit more because I don't need that much of it. And I want this to widen out so that I get that nice segmented look to it. I'm thinking something right about there is all I really need, because I'm not going the full length of the hook shank here. Trim away the excess. Grab my hackle pliers. Before I do that, I am going to put just a thin layer of some flex cement on those thread wraps, just so that there's a little something underneath there to help reinforce and secure that stripped herl. Now I'll wrap that in. If I had used a white thread, that herl might be a little bit brighter. I think if I did this again, I would probably start with a white thread. But at the same time, depending on where you're fishing this and what fish you're throwing this to and the time of day and everything, that might, even being a little bit darker as a dry fly, might be just fine. Let me get one or two extra wraps in here, even if I'm going to cover those up with the collar. That gets my abdomen in. Trim away the excess. Come back a wrap, and I'm going to put in the collar. Because of the colors on this, I'm just going with a Grizzly Dry Fly hackle here. I'm going to trim away the barbs on the very bottom for about 4 or 5 barbs here, just to have something sticking out, a little nub that gives me a bit of an anchor. Then I'm going to peel away the barbs from the rachis here so that when I start to wrap this in, I don't have any barbs that are going to be pointing rearward. It will start to wrap around, and then the barbs will just come right out perpendicular. Wrapping my thread forward, right up to behind the eye, I can wrap that in. Now I'm going to put kind of a bushy collar on this. Might have had that abdomen even a little bit further forward. So I'm putting probably, it's going to be about 4 or 5, maybe even 6 wraps of this hackle before and after. Just because I want a nice big bushy fly. Securing that in. I'll trim away the excess. Sweep all this back. Careful not to push too hard. Just trying to get everything out of the way of the eye so I can get a few wraps in here, kind of locking those barbs in a rearward direction, and then get a whip finish in. So if I did that again, I probably would have had the abdomen go a little bit further forward. You can have those wings a millimeter forward, more forward. But the Catskill flies, in my opinion, they're beautiful flies. But most of them, the collars are a little bit too light. The whole purpose is that between the collar and the tail, it supports the fly in the surface film. And if you make this not too long, the barbs are too short and or not too thick, it has a hard time supporting them. So kind of interesting. I've never tied in wings with the jungle cock before. I think it turned out okay, but not bad for just grabbing some leftover material that would have gone in the trash and just experimenting. So thanks for watching today. Thank you for joining me at the Vise today. I hope you learned a new pattern, at least a tip or trick here and there. If you'd like to help Dress Irons, you can like, comment, share, subscribe, all those wonderful things for the video. You can also head out to dressedirons.com where you can buy flies, tools, stickers, and merch, or you can join a growing community over on Locals at the Dressed Irons Fly Tying Guild. You can also donate to Dressed Irons if you want through the link at the bottom of the description. I thank everybody for their ongoing support, as it really does help the creation of these videos. But what's important is to remember, only fly tying. If you're not having fun, you're doing it wrong.